What's up, y'all? Today I'm going to teach you how to go wake to wake. Before we get this video started, I just wanted to say that this video is sponsored by Centurion Boats and Hyperlight Wakeboards. So you're ready to start jumping wake to wake for the very first time, or maybe you've tried before, or I don't really know where you're at, but some things you're going to want to already know how to do before trying to jump wake to wake would be basically just doing heel side one wake jumps. Have them nice and poppy and really in control. Some other things that might help would maybe be like some toe side one wake jumps, carving left and right across both wakes, maybe some ollies, just being really in control on your wakeboard. This will help a lot. Also, I made sure not to make the wake super huge today because I know not everyone necessarily has access to a super huge wake, and also it isn't really necessary to have a huge wake just to jump wake to wake. First thing we're going to talk about today is your edge. This is very, very important, and you need to keep this in mind. You're going to probably want to edge out away from the boat about 3/4 of the way away from the wakes as you possibly can. Once you get out to this point, you're going to want to pause for a second. You don't want to start edging back in too early, because if you edge back in as soon as possible, then you'll get slack. And this is bad, and this will slow you down and will actually prevent you from clearing both wakes. Now that you have edged out and you are ready to start edging back in, you're going to want to have paused for a second and then slowly start getting on edge. You're going to want to sort of progressively get on edge. Start slow and then progressively get slightly harder and harder up to sort of a medium speed edge towards the wake. You're going to want to sort of have your elbows locked in like this, have your knees bent, and just stay kind of low in about that position as you're traveling in towards the wake. Now that you have started your progressive edge and are carrying your momentum towards the wake, you're going to want to continue carrying this momentum and stay on edge and sort of edge all the way up through the top of the wake. If you do flatten off early, you will lose that speed to travel all the way wake to wake, so really make sure you carry that edge all the way up to the top of the wake. To get your pop at the bottom of the wake, you're going to want to be low, and gradually as you're getting closer and closer to the peak of your jump, you're going to straighten your legs and be pushing off of your board as you're edging up the wake. So if you are low and as you get to the top of the wake, if you get your legs fully extended as a nice push off the top, that's what's going to get you the most pop while having that edge, which is going to help you travel the distance all the way wake to wake. I do have some more tips on getting more pop. I'll put those at the end of the video, but I'll just carry on from where we are at. Now that you have popped and you are in the air, you can bring your legs up with you to make you even higher in the air as you are traveling across both wakes. You're going to want to find that landing over here. You're going to look at the downside of the wake over here. Make sure you try and land on the downside of that wake. Bend your knees on impact and sort of ride away on your heel side edge, edging out away from the boat. Sometimes when jumping wake to wake for the first time, you're going to either case the wake or you're going to jump too far and sort of land in the trough area, where both of those areas are actually really heavy to land on. You may want to experiment with a few different types of edges and maybe edging a little bit harder or a little bit softer depending on your rope length, because if you are landing too far out, you're going to want to back off the edge a little bit so you can land perfectly down the transition. And if you are casing the wake, you're going to want to have a little bit more speed carried into the wake so you can clear it completely wake to wake and land on the downside of that transition. Also, if this is your very first time trying to jump wake to wake, a really good tip would be shorten your rope length. Shorten it 5 feet, maybe shorten it 10 feet, maybe even 15 if you're really struggling. But the closer you are to the boat, the shorter the distance from wake to wake is. And also, if you are on a much shorter rope, you can slow the boat down, and those edges you catch or the crashes you take will be much softer at slower speeds. But yeah, if you do have a shorter rope, it will be easier to jump wake to wake. The shortest rope length I would go would be about 50 feet or 55 feet. You don't want to go much shorter than this, because eventually you're going to want to go back out to sort of a normal rope length, anywhere from like 65 to 75 feet, which is what most people are riding these days. So yeah, don't go too short, because extending back out may be a little bit difficult, but yeah, shortening the rope is definitely a good technique to help you get across. A technique that actually helps me get more pop on my wake to wake jumps, or just any jumps to where I'm staying flat and on axis and not flipping, I sort of like to almost pump down the trough. So before you get to the wake, you will notice that the water sort of goes downhill before going back uphill. I sort of almost try and lower my body as I'm going down that trough, and then as I get to the bottom, that's when I start extending my legs. And at the very peak of your jump, that's when you're going to want to extend your legs the hardest and push as hard as you can, because the harder you push is the more pop you will get straight up. The pumping down the wake won't necessarily work for everyone. This sort of just works for me, but if you do want to try it out, it could be a good idea. But something that is pretty proven would be extending your legs and really pushing off the top of the wake. That is what gets you a lot of pop. I'm just going to give you all a quick little summary of the entire wake to wake jump. Just make sure you edge out away from the boat about 3/4 of the way as you possibly can. Make sure you flatten off and coast there for a second before you start edging back in, so you don't get any slack. Once you flatten off, pause for a second, and that's when you're going to want to take a nice progressive edge back in towards the wake. Make sure you carry your speed all the way to the wake and all the way up to the top of the wake. At the bottom of the wake, make sure you're nice and low, and as you're getting closer to the top, extend and start pushing. Really push off the top of the wake to try and get that straight up pop. And hopefully from the momentum you have been carrying towards the wake and up the wake, that will carry you all the way across both wakes. Make sure you spot your landing. Try and land on the downside of the transition. Make sure you ride away on your heels, and yeah, that's how you jump wake to wake. If y'all like this video, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Comment below on what kind of tricks you guys want to learn in the future, or even comment down what kind of questions you have about this trick, or send me a DM on Instagram if you have any sort of struggles with it. You can send me your attempts, and I'll message you back and really try and help you guys out. But yeah, I'll be making a video every second day forever of wakeboarding content, so make sure you guys subscribe. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.